of immortals, capable of mistakes. The journey's not here to be agonized, just
And welcome, Mere Mortals.
Welcome back
to another episode of the Mere Mortals Monthly Goals. Indeed, this is the first of the month, second of the month, actually, where we go over our goals from the last month. We talk about our goals for the coming month. We also have a look at some fitness stuff that we've been up to, a chance to thank some supporters as well. We're live here on the 2nd of March, 2025, my birthday, in fact.
Kyrin's birthday. You got Juan here.
Juan on that side, Kyrin here on this side. And we usually start off with Juan. So Juan, let's go over your goals for February.
All right,
How'd you go? What'd you do?
February, wasn't that great, honestly. Wasn't that great, but there's very, very good reasons as to why it wasn't that great. So
because you're lazy.
Exactly. Let me just load this up to make sure we've got this correctly. So for the month of February, for the monthly goals, I'm just pulling up my Excel spreadsheet where I basically track 5 years in a row now, four and a bit years now, of like monthly goals and all the details in there. So that's like my master sheet. February had 5 goals. We had focusing the food intake around training, so specifically more protein, less carbs. Look, did this more? I would say yes, tick. I did focus more on protein and less carbs, but there was an interesting reason as to why this happened, and it's because I barely ate. So it was like, nice. It wasn't because I wasn't like optimally eating. I was so poorly eating, but in my poor eating, I was eating more protein. Like I was just eating like raw, like, chicken, steak, fish type of, and not having any time to cook. So kind of made it happen, but I wouldn't say it was like very optimal, but it was more protein and less carbs. Sure. So that was all right.
And he hasn't started this month off strong. I did see a McDonald's.
Well, I will actually, I'll tell you,
floating around
every Sunday morning in this household, we eat McDonald's. Nice. That's our little Sunday tradition.
Okay. That's all right then.
Second one, embrace the longer running on the weekends, so don't stress about what gets missed. Yep, this one was actually really good. In fact, there was a couple of times, I know I've talked about it in the past, where I was like, I couldn't do that 10 kilometers, didn't time it out or properly time for it, whatnot. Either I planned for it better or I just made it more a priority than the training of normal gym training. So I did notice my weight training hours went down over the month, but I did clock 104 kilometers over February in terms of time frame. So I was like, okay, awesome. The next two in the mind space, aiming for 3 book reviews this month.
Oh, no.
No. Now,
I haven't seen any on that.
What I ended up prioritizing is like, I'm not even going to get close to this. However, I've got 1 completed book over there that I've got to do. I'm about to finish another one that's upstairs. And then I've got a 3rd one to begin. Now, there was another book that I wanted to begin. No longer so, because all the books now are completely packed away. I've already packed things into boxes. So I've only got 1 book available to me to read. So I'm going to try. We'll talk about it a little bit later in the next episode with hard work, but I'm trying to chunk up a lot of work and a lot of more efficiencies in my day because I have a lot of things going on. So I wasn't able to do the book reviews this month, but I prioritized reading, like getting a lot of the reading out of the way so then I actually do them. So, but not done. The February content. So I planned out the February content to pursue the fitness brand as well. I planned it. I just didn't execute on it very well. So I'll talk about that in the hard work aspect as well. So stay tuned for that one. And then the booking all the flights and the purchasing of clothes. Man, this almost didn't get done, and it didn't. So I put it down as a must now. Now, I put myself as a no. However, I did purchase the clothes, and we booked almost all the flights. Almost all the flights. So we have 2 remaining. Now, I will put it yesterday. We spent an hour and a half finding an accommodation and then the transport between the 2 places. And after, like, obviously, a lot of effort, hard work, of trying to get this sorted, both the Airbnb that we booked, like half an hour later, sent us a message being like, declined because of one of those days that you chose. Actually, it's already been booked for her. Like, Airbnb, why the hell would you do this? Mm-hmm. And then the actual transport itself, we had something booked, but then they charge you a booking fee. Okay. So we were like, if we're going to do that, we might as well book this other thing that we need to do. So as we were trying to do that, again, we were trying to figure out, what's the right place? Because from a particular place we're going in Italy to France, it's a 12-hour journey with a 5-hour stopover. So we're trying to like, what if we go here and we see this instead? Anyways, we spent a good long while trying to figure it out. That by the end of doing it, we hadn't completed that. But then the original one that we'd gone through all the process of booking had timed out. And we were just like, okay, this is another time. So end goal, I didn't complete all of the flights or travel. Like it's inclusive of both. but I did get my clothes, which was fun. That was actually quite fun, inclusive of the wedding ring as well, which is for the immortalites at home who can relate to this. It was the first jewelry I've ever purchased for myself, ever.
Okay.
I was like, okay, 30, I don't even know when I'm 31 years old. No, how old are you now?
I'm 33 now.
Okay, so 32. Fuck, I'm starting to forget now. 32 years old, and it was the
how
first piece of jewelry I've ever purchased. So I was like, that was kind of cool.
Come on,
But anyways,
you've surely bought a trinket when you were...
Nah, never. Because I was thinking like the old school ones that were like here in Australia, like silver, with like a silver pendant.
With the shark
Tooth
on
correct. That was always like parents bought me
had
this.
one of
This
them.
was given to me by like grandparents. Watches I've bought myself, but I wouldn't count that as jewelry.
That's 100%.
Oh, you're going to be jewelry? Okay. If we count watches, then
count
jewelry
watches,
has been
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, any accessories that go on
Me
hands.
immortal lights. If you're listening to this, I'll watch as jewelry. I guess it could be. The ones I'm buying, folks, are not like Diamante jewelry mode.
Put
So
diamonds in them.
is a G-Shock a jewelry? You know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyways, that was a February goals for me. So some that didn't get done, some obviously huge things, which I'll talk about in the March goals that have continued to go, but I'll talk about it then.
One thing I regret about when I was doing my running challenges three-ish years ago was that I actually just didn't do that 4-hour that marathon sub 4 hours. Like I'd got a half marathon very, very quick.
You got a 3/4 marathon very quick.
The 3/4 was kind of.
I think it was on pace for a sub 4.
Technically, maybe, but by the state I was in, like it was the decline after the half was so rapid that no, like I was probably on pace for like 3/5. That was maybe doable.
Yep.
But then when I got to 3/4, it's like no, I'm fading really hard here.
Yep.
But the amount of effort that it's like seeming for you to have to put in to like run, and then it's just all this stuff that seems to be coming up. Like you're talking about the bloody thing on the back of your ankle rubbing. You're running, and it's like, oh, I'm feeling like my knees clicking or something's happening. If I was going to try and do a sub 4 hour again, in the future, it's still on my goal, like my fitness sheet. It's still in there, and it's unticked. It's going to require a lot of work, and it'll probably be twice as much work.
Look,
as when I was in my late 20s.
Yeah, look, I'd also challenge that back as well and say that if I actually look at the details of my run, like let's just go live into Strava is what
But I would be able to
use.
train smarter than
you'd have more
than my late 20s as well.
If I have to look at just in the running road, or just of February, so take it as you will, from a week perspective, there was a week of 2 hours of training, 3 hours of training, 5, another 3 hours of training, 8, another 2 hours of training, 10, and that's going to January now. So it's about 12 hours, 13 hours, let's just call it a max, of like training in a month for running. Actually, when you put it into that context, it's actually not that many hours of running. And I think step it up a little bit more. So let's say 15 hours, maybe even 20 hours a month. That probably would get you to, after a certain amount of time, to a sub 4 hour marathon. If you're well trained, if you're just sitting on the couch and you think that I'm just going to train 20 hours per month, I think it'd probably take you a little bit longer to get to that. But if you're well versed already in running and can run, I reckon a good 3, 4, 5 months of 20 hours per month of running would get you there.
Yeah, I think the difference though is it's just so draining. Like I was watching the High Rocks yesterday, my friend Menchel, and that 1 hour and 40 minutes that he put in, that's going to take him so long to recover. Whereas I can do 3 hour work.
No, I disagree. I disagree with that as well, actually.
No way, man.
Well, just think about
There's no way he's being able to do that again today.
I'll give you an example. When I did the turf games, I was an hour and 50 minutes. Now, it wasn't an hour and 50 minutes full on.
Yeah.
It was an hour and 50 minutes with half an hour of break. But if you looked at the calories that Menchel burned, because he did make a note of it, it was 1,257. Mine was 1,002 or 1,003. So let's say it's like I did 80% or 70% of the High Rocks. Maybe even less than that. Let's say 60%. The next day, I was fine. I went for a run. I ended up running whatever it was, 8 kilometers, 7 kilometers the next day, and doing a training session. I was fine. Yeah. Dude, some of those people, in fact, I know some Jack Hooden or something like that. He's a good
You obviously
fitness
didn't
guy.
try very hard in your event. There's all.
Oh, that's probably. But no, I've heard of people doing like back-to-back high rocks. You've got people who do like a marathon a day for 30 days. I think you can accustom yourself to do it, but you have to be like quite well versed and be doing it often to be able to do it to that level.
Yeah, I'm unsure of that. Anyway,
But
that's
bottom line. Kyrin could not definitely not do like you could not go into high rocks and then be fine tomorrow. Like that, you'd have to be well practiced in doing those things for a long time. Here's like a couple of months.
I guess so. Yeah, and maybe the same about handstands. Someone did 2 hours of it, they wouldn't be able to do it 2 hours.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
All right, we'll jump into my goals. So February 2025, I'll just go over the ones that I didn't actually get done. So I did my crypto speculation symptoms, but I didn't create a physical list of it. I said to create a physical one. So I've just got it on my phone now. I'm not sure if I'm going to bother to print it out. The reason for like printing it out would be like, oh, I can have it just in front of me in my little office space. And so it's kind of just like a little daily reminder of like, oh yeah, that thing happened. Much like I've got your wedding invite just there as well. So it's like, oh yeah, I got a reminder that that's happening. Maybe I'll do it. I don't know. We'll see. Record and analyze a good one-arm handstand day at the park. I mean, I recorded one. Was it good?
Oh, right.
No, I was very, very unhappy with that session. But I did record it, and technically I didn't analyze it yet either. I'm going to do that soon. Okay. This one just completely chat with Hosky, attempt a blueprint of big brain, bingo plan.
Bingo plan.
Both of those I just don't have time for, to be honest. I did reach out to him, but he didn't respond, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's probably for the best. Yep. Start travel planning. I kind of have. I've got a really decent idea of where I'm going to be going. Some dates, especially for like the first month, and then it's a little bit looser after that. Have I actually planned it in, booked things? No, that's a bit more of this month. And reading a German book, no, I didn't even start it. But everything else,
do you have a German book on you? Which German book?
Yeah, I've got plenty.
Okay.
Yeah, well, so like fun little story. When I was really trying to improve my Spanish, and this was COVID time, so I'd say maybe even just pre-COVID. I'm going to say
2020.
I'll say like early 2020,
okay.
February, if I had to guess. There was this dude, I was looking on Gumtree, which is like Australian marketplace for those who don't know. And there was this just like one post in there like, Spanish books, and just like really shitty photos. And it was just on like this big table, and this guy was out and, I don't know, it's like heading out towards Norman Park. So wherever, sorry, not Norman Park, where mentioned, Middle Park. So like, out that way. I don't know where it was. It was a name where it's like one of those like Jimbadoondally or something. Yeah. It's like, what the fuck is this? I have no idea where this is. So I go all the way out there to this guy's place, and it's kind of sketch. Like it's in a okayish neighborhood, but I'm also like, I don't know about this street in particular. And he had this Queenslander, and he's like, I knock on the door. And it takes like a minute for him to appear. He's like, this old scraggly guy. He's like, yeah, come in, mate, come in. I go in, and he's just got this treasure trove of like hundreds of books in Spanish and in German.
Oh, wow.
And he's just like, yeah, you know, $1 a book or $2 a book or whatever it was that he was charging for. They're pretty well worn, you know, they got a little bit of dirt and stuff on them, but that was fine. And so I just picked out a whole bunch of Gabriel Garcia Marquez, Carlos Fuentes, like all these classic authors. And I knew in my mind even then that I was like, I'll try a little bit of German. So
you picked up some German books from that?
Yeah, correct.
Wow.
So I've got some Thomas Mann. I think that's the one that I'll probably start with. Thomas Mann and who else was in there? There was a couple other.
Did you get any Nietzsche books?
No. I don't think he had any. I only just got authors that I recognize. Sure. Maybe I got another Herman Hesse book as well. So I'll start with one of them. Okay. See. But yeah, I've got a tiny little one. There's a good chance it'll be too much for me, but we'll see. We'll see. So yeah, okay. I was pretty happy with this month, to be honest. Cool. A couple of things right at the end that I brought back, but yeah, pretty decent.
Happy with it. Actually, I want to call out. So I guess talking about audience and talking about Valley and a few things. this might be a trend that is starting to pick up, or at least that I'm seeing in places that I at least try to consume content as more people I've been seeing go live. So Tom Bilyeu has been doing live 3 times a week. Now the reasoning for him going live is he's doing a very much
YouTube?
like he's doing very much like news on demand, political things.
Sure.
Interestingly enough, even around that topic, it's made me want to try and listen into the live, because not only are they doing the kind of the conversation that we're doing right now, but they're still playing the precursor to it and the preparation for it and the aftermath. He's getting quite a few people, and then they're leveraging a lot of the comments that get posted and talking about it. So I kind of went, that's cool. It is good to see it. Inwardly for myself, I almost went, I kind of want to check it out live, because he is doing it live and it's something that I want to tune in and listen to. So feeling that, I went, okay, I could see getting behind a few more lives or doing it live, because you can get that interaction with an individual sort of listening in. And I went, okay, I might actually think about shifting some of my things live. Not right away, maybe the fitness one, just as something different to try out, because I saw in myself that shift of, that could be cool to listen in live.
Yeah, it is fun. We don't have the audience to interact with, so
sure. Like
there's a difference when you've got a whole bunch of people actually tuning in. You can do all sorts of things like create polls and
correct.
Yeah, there's a lot more things you can do when you've got it, but it's kind of like you need to have the people there to make it interesting, but also
what comes first.
You need to make it interesting to have.
I think you have to. We have to be producing the thing to have people to come around to want to interact with it, and then that's what kind of scales up from there.
Yeah. The only other thing I would just say is I was having to think because I tuned in. There's a guy at the gym who's got a podcast, the Metanoia Project. If you want to check it out.
What? The Metanoia.
Metanoia.
Oh, Metanoia.
Okay. It's an obscure philosophical thing, I believe, or spiritual thing. And Andrew and. I was tuning into a couple of those episodes. It's great. It kind of reminds me of some of ours. Like the last one, they talked about their goals for the year.
Okay,
it's like,
cool.
Oh, cool. This guy, a bunch of late 20 guys in a house. It's essentially us. And it was one of those ones where I was like, you know what? Say they were going to ask me to donate right now. How would I go about it? And it was just one of those ones where because it's so brand new. They would probably just recommend, like, if they were to say, like, buy me a coffee, for example, you want to support the show, it would be extremely painful for me to go create a buy me a coffee account, link up all my shit to it, and then to be able to send them a thing. And I was just thinking, like, it's probably about the same amount of pain that Fountain would have nowadays if you were to say, like, start me a buy me a coffee
I think it's even
account.
a little bit more. I think it's a
Fountain?
little bit more pain with Fountain. Yeah. Because large amount of... because I'm just thinking a lot of our subscribers and people who would listen who are not already on Fountain or some similar app, they'd be on Spotify or Apple or YouTube. They would then kind of have to go download the app. Then not only download the app, but then connect Wallet in to then be able to send something.
Well, no, because when you go into Fountain, you can just connect your card to it now. So how different is that of downloading an app versus going to buy me a coffee website? And Fountain doesn't make you put in your name, for example. It doesn't make you have to. Yeah,
so maybe it's
I think personally, I think it's probably about equivalency, and so then it's just getting to that point, like at least with the podcasting app, once you go through that process. Now, if I was just listening in and he said it, then I could just go, oh yeah, bang. Click boost in the app, write a message. Whereas if it was buy me a coffee, it would be the same thing again. Go to the website, log in.
I still hold such a strong opinion on this is until we have just a more steady, low volatility Bitcoin.
Nah, that's dumb. That's incorrect.
Well, also, like in my mind, a more low volatility Bitcoin would, in my mind, if it was me, lower volatility, it was crabbing for a long time in the same sort of direction. I feel like I would be more influenced to then use it as transactional means, whereas the higher volatility gets me a feeling of, oh man, I'm either like holding this for gains or I'm selling this for avoidance or something to that effect. That's what I said.
Look, it'll be either something unrelated, like it doesn't matter the Bitcoin aspect of it. Personally, I think it'll probably be Bitcoin as the transactional, or at the very least, like something that can connect to any coin and use that. But in your display, it will use your currency of choice. So it won't matter. Like you're not going to even see it. So it doesn't matter if Bitcoin's volatile in the back end, because you're not going to even see it on your app. It'll just show Aussie dollars. That's how I envision it in the future.
Gotcha.
So we won't be sending sats, even though we like to call it out and things like that. I think for the large
it'll just
scale
be
population,
like just dollars for okay. Yeah.
That's how I personally envision it.
Vision it to go.
Anyway, we do really appreciate everyone sending in support, whether it be through, there is the PayPal link there. If you're like, fuck it, it's too hard to be able to go use Satoshis and Bitcoin and Fountain and send in boostergrams. That is there. I haven't seen you use it yet though. So just putting that out there.
That's true. That's very true.
Putting that out there. But yeah, we do really appreciate all the streaming and the support that we get to this show. It makes a big difference to us. I will be doing my Q3 update at the end of this month of that support as well.
Good. Thank you very much for doing that as well.
Give me your March goals, Juan.
All right. So,
What's
March.
happening?
I originally, a couple of days ago, I was starting to think about when you asked me the question of putting together goals, I was like, oh man, there's just too many goddamn things going on. I'm going to put 0 goals. It's going to be one of those 0 goals. And then, again, it kind of reflected on, and we've talked about this plenty when we do monthly goals, is when I look back and actually map Britannia goals, there's actually a ton load of goals. It just sometimes feel like you become habituated to what you're already doing, and so it doesn't feel like writing it down again is an impressive thing. But when you write it down and you recognize it, it's like, no, actually, that's still fairly like hectic to do. So I ended up getting to 6 goals for the March 2025. So I talked about it a little bit earlier. So there's particularly for running, it's only one in the body category that I'm tracking here, 100 kilometer month. Now, did do it in February already, and it was in lower days that are available in February in 28. So, you might think, okay, well, it's not going up forward. Mm-hmm. The critical thing is this March is going to be, I posted like a little summary of like February on Insta, but yeah, last month, and I think this month is going to be probably some of the most directed action effort filled months like ever, like absolutely ever. And so if I can accomplish that 100 kilometer month as well, I would be amazed, definitely amazed. Plus I've got a couple of travels in between that as well, next week and in 3 weeks time as well. So trying to hold it all together, we'll see. That's 100 kilometers of running for the month of March. The 2 in the mind, completing 3 book reviews this month. So once again, I'm relisting. This is going to be slightly easier because I've just got basically one book and 20 pages to go to do it. On the downside, I do have a limit of probably 20 days or so to do so, because I want to do it in this particular studio that I'm in, where I can envision how I'm going to do it in a new place, but obviously got to work out the logistics and things around that, which kind of links into this next one, which is completing the purchase of the new home. So I'm not going to go into too many details, but yes, I'm going to be moving from this current location to a new location. It has, if I can pull it off correctly, and I've got to figure out how I'm going to do this correctly. I've talked about it with close friends. It basically has, if you look in this in the video, it has an already built-in bookshelf, which I really like those backgrounds of people do when they've got like a bookshelf behind them and whatnot. But it's a 4 meter by 2 meter book, like built-in bookshelf type of deal. So I want to do it so it's with a background of that, but it's in the main living room, one of the main living rooms. So it's like, oh, how do I do it? So kind of want to have it set up always like that. Got to find locations to be able to put it to the side, but have it easy enough that I can pull the things out and build it to it.
That's not going to work.
Which comes into chunking. So I'll talk about that probably in the hard workspace, because you're right.
You can't see it here, people, but there is a gigantic screen. Let me see if I can drag
pull it down. There we go.
Look at this fucking thing.
Yeah.
There's no way that is his wife to be will let this happen.
So
No fucking way.
in the short term, there is another room that could be used completely for the podcast studio. So there's a completely empty room for it. But I want to do it in front of there. So, do I hide that in there for the time being with the study? Anyways.
Just do it with the book reviews in there.
But as usually with the purchase of a new home, it's just busy. If you've done it before, you understand it. There's just a lot of stuff to get done. Then the last 3 in the mind soul space for March. One is just starting to build some sort of small, fun structure for me to test the conversations that I had with my daughter. I didn't do any formally in February, just with how much was going on. So I want to just set up a structure in the way of what sort of questions I'm asking her. I've tested it out now 4 times. So I want to start asking repetitive questions so that as I look back on it, there'll be comparisons around like, hey, how is she responding to that particular question? How does she interact? All that sort of things, which she is interacting a lot more. She's currently going through her what's that phase.
Ooh, what's that?
What's that? Especially towards the evening. If she's having a bath, she'll point to everything like a ton load of times, be like, what's that? What's that? What's that? What's this? What's that? Very, very cute.
Cute.
Complete the little accessory bookings plus the wedding effort. So I'm just putting down, there's a lot of wedding efforts still to come. I want to complete all of the accessory bookings. There's a lot of little accessory things that I've got to get done. And the last one, which is this is an interesting one. I want to pull some stuff from the discomfort menu. So this is around, I'm mapping it to anti-fragility as part of my annual goal. So discomfort menu, the phone usage after 6 p.m. So I've talked about this before. I'm part of the group Tim Ferriss put together to create his new book, or at least help support and summarize and review his new book. So he, chapter by chapter, is deploying it out basically weekly to a group of people. We get to just read it, give it any feedback around, hey, you should probably get rid of this, reword this. It's called The Book of No. One of the challenges in there, and I'm giving a little bit away, but it's a book about doing a lot of challenges and continuously taking action. One of the particular chapters was about just phone usage, and the examples and things that he gives in there, I haven't applied it to this, but I know this, everyone knows this, just with the ease of the social media availability and stuff like that, you just get drawn into it. Sometimes you can stay away from it, sometimes you can't. Like kind of having Tim Tams and chocolate at home, yes, you can fight the urge to not eat it, but kind of easier if it's not there. So I haven't gone down the path of deleting it, but what I have done, so if you want to do something similar at home, I'm sure this is on all types of phones. In my settings, in my downtime schedule, I've got a downtime schedule now set up every single day from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. And then that, between those hours of 7 p.m. to 6 a.m., no app on my phone works apart from text, mail, WhatsApp, like forms of communication basically, and YouTube Music. So between 7 p.m. and 6 a.m., there is no access to any social media, no YouTube, no nothing. So I can't use it. To give you an idea of how impactful that is in terms of my phone usage, because it's pretty ridiculous. Over the week, my daily average had been around 4 hours of phone usage. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I started this on yesterday just to see what it'd be like. And yesterday it was 3 hours, and right now it's 42 minutes. So probably dropping it by about an hour of maybe average time, I reckon I'll say. Obviously, I'll assess but towards the tail end of the month. But yeah, that's an extra hour that I was talking to my partner about this. Not necessarily I'm not doing this for the productivity sense of it, although if that comes, wonderful. But it's more between those hours, at least I want to give myself some mental space back, so I'm not even just mindlessly doing it. I just want to be able to focus and be present in other things and not having to do that. Again, case in point, this morning, because it applied, I usually get up well before 6 a.m. And so I was able to get to the gym. Usually in my mind, I'll have this mentality of I'll just quickly swipe and check the news and check the Bitcoin price, and I'll reply to this, and I've got messages on Insta, and I've got all this stuff. I'll check Messenger. This morning I was like, I can't do any of that. So I'll just quickly check my work thing. I respond to a couple of things. Cool, get to the gym. And by the time 6 a.m. rolled around, I was already in my run. And I didn't think I was going to have time to get back here in the time that I did with all I had. But yet I did, got home, I was like, damn, I was able to set this up before Kyrin got here. I was like, holy shit, this is crazy.
All right, something's changed.
Yeah, so I will say this because the examples that Tim gives, like, you can set your phone to black and white. You can just basically delete apps. I don't want to delete apps. There's certain things that I want to utilize, especially for the podcast. It's just more effective to do it that way. But yeah, that at least locking it to those times, I've gone like, oh man, this is pretty good. So the discomfort menu that I'm pulling out for this particular month for that is going to be, set that. And of course, what I've told you about the things going on this month, there's 10 other things probably that I can't particularly talk about in the podcast that is going on this month. And it's like, there's lots going on. Let me focus in on that time So I've got the time to at least breathe with a few other things.
Sure.
So that's March 2025, folks.
Jeez.
Plenty of things on.
Busy.
Oh, do you have any comments at all from anyone on the live?
Nah, not as of yet. No. Although I did see Pat in the chat, as usual. So yeah, my March 2025 goals. Try to be direct when the opportunity presents itself.
Okay.
I've let a couple of things slip when I've just been chatting with girls, like having a good conversation, and there's probably a topic for future musings, because we also talked about it in our Discord. Join the Discord, people. Got some good stuff in there. That I think I might be leaning too much into the small talk, and becoming almost too conversational in a way. Too friendly? Too friendly.
Okay.
And I need a...
Friend zone too quickly?
Huh?
Being friend zoned too quickly?
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, there were certainly some instances where I was like, I should have been more direct there. Yeah. Okay. And so that's a goal for this month. Create a rough calendar for travel plans. Reach out to everyone. I still got a couple of people to reach out to in terms of Nick and Oscar, for example, from Fountain. They're in England. I'm going to be going there. I should probably reach out to them. I think Nick is an Arsenal fan, so maybe if he goes to a game on the weekend that I'm there, I could tag along with him or something. That'd be kind of cool. I'd love to do that. Back up some new wallets that I'm creating. This is mostly for play around purposes. So do them, and then I want to research on-chain metric indicators of the top. So this is kind of like one of my mini goals that has emerged for the meta mini goal is to try and predict the top of the crypto / AI market that I think is coming. And I'm having fun trying to figure out what are the things that would give me the checklist for being able to do this. So I'm having fun actually.
Have you tried applying AI itself to try and get that checklist?
Well, this is probably be part of it because the things before have all been very subjective. Can you ask AI to give you the top indicator for how many people are buying Lambos, or how many people how many conversations you've overheard at the gym of people talking about this guy who put millions of Bitcoin into their super fund? I did hear that the other day. That's all the subjective stuff. So maybe for the on-chain metrics, AI will be helpful for that.
Sure.
But I think there's some podcasts, and there's this guy called Checkmate who isn't I think he operates Glassnode, and so he's real good with on-chain metrics and shit like that. So I might be checking out some of his episodes. Record and edit another session. Didn't say a good session this time, of handstands.
Okay.
And I've also just put in here, just do general documents backup. I've got just a suite of things that I haven't backed up for quite a while, including the handstands. So just back them up all onto a hard drive and things like that.
Do you not back it up to cloud?
Cloud's fucked. I'm not. This is another topic we need to do. Let me see what I titled it in my phone here. Where are we? Mere mortals. Here we go. I got some preliminary notes on AI schmai. Technology is making life harder. There's a video I watched recently of a guy complaining about a lot of technology is actually making things harder in some essence. And I was like, oh yeah, that could be a fun topic to counteract all of Juan's bullishness of the incoming humanoid
it'll be
robot
interesting
2026.
when most people realize you think NFTs. Anyone who believes in NFTs, would you say you would believe in NFTs? For them to be good value, NFTs? I guess. Well, I was just boil it down.
I think there is utility in them. Okay. Yes.
So it's going to be if people. Well, it's a differentiation, but I guess the on-chain meta information versus the picture that comes with it. And you're saying cloud might if it goes down or not to be trusted. It's then 98% of NFTs go away because they're just all back on the cloud.
It's not that I don't believe in the cloud, and it is very useful for me though. OneDrive, for example, fucking biggest piece of shit I've ever used in my life. Good lord, is that thing shit. So I remember using iTunes and just being so frustrated with the syncing of it when I had an iTunes.
It's interesting. You sound like an older generation
No,
not
I
wanting
think
to use cloud.
I actually think I sound like a younger person because I know quite a few people who are also having, like that guy on the video I was talking about. He's young. Like he's a young guy who's just like, this is fucked, man. Like this technology is shit. Yeah, I'm actually the younger guy in this situation. Ahead of my time. Affirm to myself and others my purpose of becoming an elite hand balancer. I'll explain more about this goal and then in the next episode because it's tied into jobs and hard work. So we'll leave it there for the moment. Begin reading a German book and whip out my old learning notes. So I do have some learning notes from the past. So I do want to just get a little bit of German back in me, like just enough so I can have some fun while I am in Germany / Poland / Switzerland. So doing that. No self-debasing language. I noticed myself doing this. I already kind of fucked this up the other day, literally yesterday. So where I'll say things like, huh?
Why?
It was funny. It was like a goal that counteracted another goal. So I was more direct with this girl and I was saying like, oh, hey, I've been thinking of going to this ballet class. Do you want to come with me? Like, I just don't want to go on my own. It's kind of lame. And even she was like, no, that's not lame. And then I had to correct. I'm like, no, not lame. I don't have fun going on my own. It's better to go with someone else. I'd noticed I do myself this with other things. I say weird when I'm doing like crazy exercises in the gym. I should just say unique, perhaps, for example.
Yeah. I get you.
And then the last one, contribute by updating the modified Morpheus white paper. So I've done a pull request on GitHub once before, but this would be my like first actual trying to use it in a more systematic way of contributing to something. So I want to do that. I've been meaning to learn how to use GitHub. That was kind of part of the Hosky Big Brain Bingo plan of doing that. This is actually just an actual way that I'll be doing it. So
nice. Okay, that'll be good.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to this bunch. I was kind of surprised by how much I did get done last month because probably like 2/3 of the way through, I was like, oh, I'm not doing too well here, but managed to pull some stuff out.
Again, you've always got quite a few. So if you're going to do 8 goals across a month, it's always like it is a challenge, especially if it's a busy month or other things pop up. So
it's more just reminding myself, to
do so. Yeah. That is a good point.
So a lot of them are just like it'll only take 2 minutes
but it's a
once
reminder
a week
of doing it.
But it's staying on top of it.
Yeah, one of the things actually I've been finding. So from my menu of discomfort, one of the things that I have kept on my phone between the 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. is ChatGPT on app format, which has been actually nice because I've been using it more and more to kind of converse with it. So just recently, again, what are we in? 2nd of March. OpenAI's released 4.5. Now, 4.5 takes a ginormous amount of compute. I think it costs, what was the number? Like ChatGPT 4.01 or something, it's like $6 per 1 million tokens. It's just $75 per 1 million token. Like it's gargantuan, but it's not a chain of thought, chain of thinking, reasoning model. It's a conversational model. And for those who haven't used it, so I've been trialing out a bit more of Grok 3 and Claude Sonnet 3.7, and they're really good in a comparison way, like really powerful, great for code, really great for code. Claude is. Grok more for like conversational, and you can get some unhinged shit going on it, which is kind of funny. But the 4.5 was the first one where, I shit you not, I was like, I feel like I'm talking to an actual human on the other end. Like this is kind of wild. And it's the difference was, I think a lot of people are shitting on it because it's not as good as reasoning. Like it will make up a lot of shit in the sense of we provided something
that sounds like a human.
Yeah, well, no, in a sense of like it's a lot. There's a lot of hallucination, even though they say the hallucination percentage is lower. But we fed it a lot of things. It created a big document. The document actually wasn't as useful as previous things we've used, so it's not as good for that. But what it was good for was we'll talk about hard work in a moment in the next episode. And I was having a bit of a conversation to kind of create what I wanted to talk about in it. And man, the way that it prompted me or it was kind of asking questions would be like if you were talking to a friend or on a podcast with someone and then like them engaging and asking a question follow-up and not in the like, oh, I want to know like, can you answer these 5 questions so I have a better idea? It was like a more genuine, like, kind of feels like you're coming more from an empathetic reasoning because that kind of makes sense. I've seen it before in these sort of circumstances. And I was just like, that was almost like mind numbing how quickly it felt like I was just in a messaging app talking to someone. It was pretty intense. So if you care to pay $200 a month US or 300 and something Australian dollars per month,
no, thanks.
you too can join it. I think they're bringing it to the more cheaper option soon. But the rate of changes in the AI front is so mind-numbingly quick. It's phenomenal and scary and makes me feel like I need to just, again, separate and just focus on like specific area of usage as opposed to just trying to follow everything that's going on because it's just like gigantic.
You know what this feels like to me? This feels like the Apple fanboys who were like, the new iPhone, Apple 14 is game changer. It's like going to change everything. And yeah, it's essentially the same fucking phone.
Phone just upgrading and so, I don't know if it gets to a point where we just can't even tell because we're the stupid input. That could also be like we become the limiter. It's not the machine anymore. It's like we're the limiter of how much we put in. So,
but what I'm getting at there is that the changes. I don't know. Maybe I'm not the best suited for this. For how rapid and how world changing they actually are.
Well, no, I think it's more the case of if you talk to a stupid person versus a smart person, you'd know the difference.
Yeah, sure.
But as a human, going to know the difference between a 200 IQ person and a 2 million IQ person?
Yeah,
no, the hell? How are we going to know? We have no idea of what the prompt or the questions that we would make to discern the difference.
I'm not going to get excited until they're agentic. Like I can ask it to go and do things and interact with other services, and it can do stuff for me. That's when I'll get excited. Until then, they're all just chatbots.
Okay.
In my mind.
Have you seen Operator by OpenAI?
Probably not.
It is what you're describing. It does agentic. You have to watch it through sensitive information, but it just goes and does it for you.
Have you got access to that?
Yes, I can show you.
All right,
Yep.
let's do it. Let's try something out.
All right, well, I think that's it for monthly goals.
Yeah, so just last thing, fitness. I finally have some fitness points after I don't know how long it was without a break. I think I posted in the Discord. So once again, join the Discord because you'll get little tidbits in there. But yeah, I managed to do some flags, touching the ground left and right, which was very good. Long time to do that. Lot of hurt ribs, lot of handstands to get there. So was very, very happy about that. One-arm handstands are still just chugging along. I'll get there eventually, but they're taking their sweet-ass time to come around. That's my main fitness news. You don't do the point system or anything?
I don't do point system at all. I think for me and who's Zendesk? No, Zen Garage. They posted a comment on one of the fitness things I did, and it's very true. It's that as much right nowadays, it's just the mind as well as the physical from my fitness perspective. In general, like I say, from a training perspective, most of my like strength and movement by the same. Like I'm holding it all, which I'm holding that as I'm really happy with that because I'm putting so much more effort into running. So the fact that I can still hold all the strength movements, all my Olympic lifting, even my handstands when I do them every now and again, more so for fun. Like it's still fun that I can just kind of do it without really any warm up or really any care. So I don't know if you've noticed this. Maybe it's worth talking about it at a later point. But if you stop doing handstands for 3 months, would you just be able to go straight back into the exact same level, or there'd be like or where would it get back to? Again, we don't have to talk about it now, but I felt like I've gotten to a point with handstand fun that even if I just do them once a month, I'm still able to do what I would think is maybe 80% of what if I was continuously training. Obviously, it's at a degree way lower of handstand, but I can pull out a 30-meter handstand walk fairly easily without training anymore.
Okay.
I don't know if that'll like regress more if more time goes by, but I can do a lot of those things semi-okay without too much focus on them. I'm sure that would regress over time, but I think it's one of those where I did 20% the effort to get to 80% of the value. To get those extra, you get to mastering and being an expert at it, it would just take that much more effort
Sure.
So I think it's just that like balance with it. Yeah, in any case, fitness, it's more so focus on the half marathon. That's in, I also fucked it up with my planning, interestingly enough. I planned out like this full training thing of like all my runs weekly to be able to do it, blah, 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 12 weeks. And in the end, I actually went, oh shit, I put down the run's going to be in April, not in May. And I was like, so I'm actually like ahead of where I'm supposed to be by like 4 weeks. So I kind of went, it's kind of good. It gives me some hope that hope in the sense that, I might not be able to do as much running in the next month, and that's going to be okay because I've got that extra time.
Okay.
So,
cool.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right. I think we'll leave it there, mere mortal lights. I don't think there's any other comments in the monthly goals. Once again, we'll do these monthly goals just for, again, touching base on how we're going from a monthly perspective, targeting it all the way up to annual goals.
Yeah. One thing I did want to mention, so Juan's away next week. Correct? I was going to do a solo episode, but I was looking at all my things, like potential topics, and I went, none of these I really actually want to do on my own. I want to have a discussion with you about.
Sure.
So perhaps this next episode, I'll just hide for a week and I'll just release it then.
Your what?
The next episode, the hard work one.
Yep.
And I might just put that on for next week, release that for next week.
Oh, okay.
As a thing. So
sure.
There'll be a gap, I guess, but I usually release it like after the monthly goals, 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, so it won't really be too much of a gap. Yeah. Okay, exactly. That's a good point.
Cool.
All right, more than lights, thank you very much for joining in. If you have been tuning in live, go and recommend other people to come in live. If you want to support us from a value for value perspective, make sure you do all the good ways you can do that. Send through Boostergrams, you can send through via the PayPal, leave comments, share, all the good stuff. Subscribe. I'm going to say this at the beginning of the next one, because I want to try and use it in all of the ones. I've been learning from Stephen Bartlett from the Dar FCA. I'll say it in the forward. But right now, across our platforms, roughly, people who are listening to us, 78.2% of them are not subscribed. So one of the things you can absolutely do that helps us, subscribe. Because even if a portion of those people actually subscribe.
You're talking about on YouTube?
YouTube and through Spotify and Apple as well. So that's like a combination of all of them. Not some of the others like Fountain and whatnot. I haven't looked at those stats. But yeah, the more of you who can obviously subscribe, share with people, helps us also share what the value for value model is, how you can support us. Essentially, let us give more value to more people. In return, we may hope to get more value in return.
Sure.
We'll leave it there. Immortal Lights, be well wherever you are in the world. Juan, out.
Kyrin out. Bye.
Good.